Hey, my name's Luke and welcome to the show. Well, I thought I wasn't going to do this today, and quite honestly, I was just going to watch a YouTube video, listen to, on a, YouTube video on the way home. And then I figured, but what if someone's looking for my video on their way home? And I was like, you know what? It was a good day. I need to report that because I'm kind of sad sometimes, and I try not to put too much of that juju out there. So let's get to it. Let's really dive in, I had a great day. I can honestly say that I had a decent day. I was efficient, I was quick, I was responsive. I wasn't irritated talking to people. I did a good job. I was very pleasantly surprised with myself. I had a couple blunders, but that's an inevitability, But I don't think that today I irreversibly screwed up. And quite opposite, I feel like I accomplished something. And I'm excited to go home because I woke up this morning with plenty of sleep. That was one thing. But I also, I did a couple things yesterday. I did some dishes. I cooked and stuff. And, tonight I want to do some more cooking. And I really think that cleaning up your house and going to bed on time and getting a minimum of 7 hours of sleep, being able to spring up in the morning and get stuff done, it's invaluable. It really changes the perspective of your day, And I've been thinking, man, I definitely need to get better sleep schedule. I was really strict at some point where I would go to bed exactly at 10, get up at 6, 8 hours of sleep, done. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. So I figured I started stretching that till 11:30 to 12 to 12:30 some nights. And it definitely wears down on you. And it doesn't take one day. One day you have some coffee, but then it's 2 days and 3 days, and then you've got a good day, and then you go back to another 2 days of not sleeping as well. And that insomnia kind of kicks back in, and you start getting irritated again. And I didn't realize that when I was working night shift how angry I was. I was irritated. I was irritable. Everything pissed me off. And, I have a pretty level head overall, so it wasn't too big of a deal. But it definitely affected me emotionally because within the first week of being day shift, that was like 6 months ago, I had a complete turnaround on an outlook of life. And it was because I got some decent sleep. That wasn't 6 hours of sleep during the day while the sun is shining outside. There's a reason that our circadian rhythm is there for a purpose. When it's dark, you go to sleep. When it's light, you wake up. That's simple as that. Our brains are wired that way, and you cannot force it to be anything else. You trying to force it to be anything else does not work at all. You have to adhere to your schedule. And you've got to pick a certain time frame of where you're going to sleep. Whether you have to get up earlier and go to sleep earlier, or get up later and go to sleep later. Either way, figure it out. But yeah, I just uploaded some new City Walk, Universal City Walk in Orlando pictures on my Instagram. So if you are a photography geek and you would like to check those out, I suggest and I implore you to go check those out. It's Luke's Kinda Serious, just like my YouTube channel. And I'm pretty happy with those. I would like to incorporate my photography into YouTube at some point, where I'm doing like POV, like, oh, check this out, I was here. Oh, look, I got this picture of this wonderful person. Like, there's a little story behind it. I would definitely be excited to do that, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time before that happens. I got to get a couple things in order first, I've got to plan it out. And quite honestly, I just need to refine my craft for this, And yeah, I was pretty excited to be able to do all that. Had a decent day at the gym today, a little chest day. I'm getting really good at the sauna, getting nice and steamed in there, so that's good. I think that having a tolerance to high heat and sweat and grossness is kind of important while you're working out because, well, if you get heat exhaustion really fast, not the greatest. But if you welcome it before, during, after your workout, and you are used to it a little bit better, you can take the heat. It definitely helps. And I think that the sauna is pretty good for your mental as well. I think that if you've had a bad day, I want you to do a couple things. I want you to go on the treadmill for an hour and a half, and walk at the fastest pace you can without like tripping over yourself. You can run if you want, if you're some sort of weirdo, or a jog or something, and like you can listen to music, you can watch a movie. I think that if you listen to music, you'll get more out of it, but you can watch a movie too and be on the treadmill, and I think you'll get a decent feel for what I'm talking about. And then after that, whenever you're done with an hour and a half, whatever, go in the sauna and try to be in there for 20 to 30 minutes. The dry sauna, not the wet sauna. I think those are like, you could die if you were in there for 30 minutes. But the dry sauna, where there's no water and steam in the air, it's just sauna and sweat is in the air, I guess. But I think doing that right there is the perfect head clearing machine. It really clears your brain of the day. You're probably asking yourself, do I really have 2 hours every day? Well, think about it like this. I think that you can get the same out of it going to the gym, and let's say you do this. Let's say you do weights for an hour, 30 minutes on the treadmill, and then however long in the sauna. I think that accomplishes a good thing. I think lifting weights is very important for mental as well, but I do think that it does require a conscious effort to be able to lift weights. You know, you really have to get your head right. You can do 5 pounds and go, oh yeah, I feel it in my muscle. But to really push yourself and go to failure is, you have to go to a different headspace. And that's why all these videos online are talking about like dudes that went through heartbreak, that like, you know, like their girl cheated on them with the whole football team, so they go to the gym and get massive, and then they realize that girls don't even care about muscles, but they do. So don't kid yourself. Do I think you need to have the biggest muscles in the world and be 320 pounds and be able to lift 620 for deadlift? No. I do think that you need to be a well-in-shape guy that is relatively lean, that isn't jacked, that is toned. You should be toned. Basically, every calisthenics guy, that. Calisthenics is like half gymnast, half bodybuilder, and it forms into, I can control my own body weight and then some weight. Basically, calisthenics, you could be able to throw yourself up on a, you know, do a muscle up and stuff, and that's impressive. You do feats. I would say that has good value when it comes to otherwise life, you know, picking up groceries and stuff, being able to punch somebody, being able to control your whole body, you know, body weight wise, being flexible. I think those are good attributes, but also not being like crazy jacked. So, you know, something to keep thinking of. Gonna go home and make some jerky finally. Took me long enough, I know. And just gonna enjoy my Tuesday night. I can't wait. Yeah, I know. Get out of my way. It was fine. This thing beeps at everything. what was I saying? I'm sorry, I'm not going to have the newest, latest, and greatest philosophy to talk about every day. Quite honestly, I'm still figuring it all out. I hope that over time, I'll have very specific topics about something I learned as of recent that really matters, you know? Like, as of recent, I need to find a house. And it's tough. I've been looking, and I don't make enough money to own a house right now. Not where I want, not the kind of house I want, not the neighborhood I want, not the location I want. You know? Not the property, not the size, not the bedrooms, not the square footage, not the quality of the house, the newness of the house. None of that is going to be in my price range. I'm broke. And people tell me all the time at work, they say, Luke, you're not broke. You're doing well. And I'm thinking, that ain't enough. I'm not like you. I'm not going to rent a house with 3 other roommates or rent a house or an apartment with the girlfriend that I don't have. The point is, I don't have luxuries like that. I can't live with my parents still. That's coming to an end. I'm 21 years old. Some people get kicked out at 18. I'm grateful for the time that I've had for the last 3 years, but it is time to go soon. We're coming to a head. And quite honestly, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't have enough money for anything. No way. I work 40 hours a week and then some. I actually work extra sometimes. Actually, any chance I can get, I'll work OT. Not often, but it happens. And so at least 40 hours a week. Every week, never take a day off. Had to cash in PTO because I never use it. And now, I'm realizing that I just don't have enough money coming in. I don't make enough hourly. So all of the things I pursue are goals. All of the things I'm looking into are passion projects, but also financial ideals. So I have been thinking about, when I buy a house, is maybe to rent out a room to a couple people. Rent out a room to several people or something like that. And yeah. I think renting out a room can maybe help out, but I think it's important not to live outside your means. If someone has to be kicked out and you've got a terrible roommate and you don't trust them or whatever, you gotta let them go, And what happens then? Do you have enough money to support until the next person comes in? I don't know. I do not know. I hope that works out, But who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I do have to say that it would be really great income. It'd be phenomenal. Yeah, that'd be pretty smart, actually. Have to pay taxes on the income that I get, which would be wonderful. I'd have to set that aside. I put in my savings anyways, but still, Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this house. I think YouTube has potential, but quite honestly, I'm not putting any effort into these videos. I'm just throwing my brain out there and seeing what catches. I'm not getting that many views, and that's fine. Quite honestly, I started this for my own mental health, let alone anyone else. I figure the dream is there. Maybe if I stick to it long enough and I'm committed to it, that maybe it'll work out. Maybe I will get some revenue. I don't care if it's $5 a month. I'd still take it, you know? And then, with the photography that I'm doing, I could try selling to stock footage websites, or maybe, building my Instagram or something, and then doing portraits for people for $100 a shoot, whatever. Who knows? That is the question. I'm happy for what I have. I'm grateful for what I have, but I also crave more, you know? I understand that I just don't have enough. And that can be very daunting sometimes. You know, you can feel very trapped in your life when you don't feel like you're going to be able to do everything you set out to do. You know, I'm thinking now, I got to hunker down for the next 5 years just to be able to afford a house that I don't even like. And then from there, the next 5 years is, well, getting a house that I do like with someone that I do love, maybe, that hopefully won't cheat on me, and have a couple kids so that I can barely survive in that house and never have a vacation. And I'm just like, damn, do that for 30 years, and then finally, if I don't die beforehand, I get to retire at the ripe old age of 65. And I just gotta say, wow, I love to be that. I love to do that. That is so great. I'm so happy that I'm able to do that. So, yeah. I mean, that's what controls all of our lives, right? I would say the first thing off is drink water. If you don't have water, you kind of die. Next thing is food. Gotta have food, gotta have money for food, gotta be able to grow food, gotta be able to find food. Somehow you gotta get your hands on some food. Third thing, shelter. You need a house, you need a home, you need somewhere safe, where you're able to sleep at night and not be attacked by mosquitoes with, diseases and stuff, but also away from psychopaths that want to kill you. That's probably important too. Things like that. And, then you have to say, okay. Those are good points. So you need a house in a decent neighborhood and a decent amount of room. Because to be able to afford the house, to be around other people, and I think the fourth thing right there is family and friends. Well, first of all, you need to have a legacy. You need to have family, you need friends, spouse, kids, whatever. If you don't want to have kids, that's great. I know, inflations of population, cool, great job on you. You're a real environmentalist, but the reality of life is our instincts are to have kids. I mean, physically, yes. Mentally, yes. Emotionally, yes. Every aspect of our lives, our chemistry of our own being says family, friends, kids. Well, family, kids, spouse, friends. I don't know, whatever. But, all of that matters. And, Those are the driving forces of life. You may be an anomaly, but most of the time that's usually how it goes. And then for that, to provide for that family, to provide for that house, it's not exactly the old times anymore. We're not just, grabbing a crossbow or bow and arrow and shooting a hog and being set for the month. It takes more than that now. You need money for healthcare insurance, things like that. Able to keep your family in a safe neighborhood. And next part after family, housing, healthcare, food, because you want to live for a little bit longer than 40 years old. So you're going to need some ibuprofen to help with a cold so you don't die from it. That's kind of important. What else from that? Hobbies. You need a place that you're able to host your hobbies at. Whether you want to DJ from your living room, watch movies, watch TV shows, play video games, have a home gym, go to the gym, host parties, cook great food, barbecue, garden, whatever. All your big man adult toys. Pause. No, I'm talking about boats. Boats, jet skis, a tractor, whatever. You gotta be able to put that somewhere. You need to have somewhere to put it, right? And then from there, I would have to say that your hobbies your passions need to be supported by your job. And your job has to be semi-passionate about. You don't have to be, I love animals, I need to be a veterinarian. No. It can be more a more abstract concept, Like for me, at one point I said I just want to serve others, But I just don't think that's what really drives me anymore. Don't get me wrong. I think that serving others is important, but let's be real. The amount of times that I've said, oh my gosh, I hate these people are so annoying, Like, I don't think that is a driving force. I do think that is still a factor. I think that it is part of it. But the big thing is, I think the real reason that I said that before is that I want to be helpful. I want to be helpful to people, to technology, to the future, to my kids. I don't care who or even what. I want to be helpful to the machine that I work for, the business that I work for. Not necessarily a person, but I want to be helpful. I want to do things. I want the things I do to matter, But anyways, I'll catch you later. Get a decent job. Have a good one. See ya.